I'm in our neighbor's driveway looking over to the west where our property line begins with the fence line there. This is our front yard, and that is where our chicken system is. It's about 1/10 of an acre. I've never really filmed our chicken operation from this vantage point, from outside the fence on this side, but I thought I would do that this time because we did a fun integrate rather than segregate move with our neighbor. We chatted about the idea of extending the chicken run into this new young food forest that was established in 2020. I've spoken extensively about this. This is the Lawn to Food Forest project, and now our chickens are folded into the progression of this space as well. It's pretty simple and rudimentary at the moment. We're going to add lots and lots of layers of complexity. Certainly will make a better fence at some point, although a cutoff of 2x4 welded wire seems to close in a decent way, even when filming. So that works enough for now. The T-posts we had purchased and cached at our Trumansburg spot a bunch of years ago. I think I got these for a few dollars a piece. These kind of durable good things are worth getting when the getting's good. So we got these for a few bucks instead of buying them new. Also had this old fencing that we used for this purpose. So it was a very low cost project, and modified the southeast corner of our chicken zone. Really simply just cut a hole in the fence. We can close this whenever we want. Lots more refinement to do. I have to rechange the layout in there, the flow. But now the beginning of their composting system, which is deep in the shade in here, and access to fresh and open pasture are unified spaces. It's going to be really exciting to see how this can evolve and deepen. We did a pass of harvesting black currants through here. There's still a lot on here. I think we'll leave the remaining currants for the chickens to enjoy. So we got about half, they'll get about the other half, and the rest will go into our bodies through eggs later on anyway. The elderberry crop that's starting to form in here, I would like to leave 100% for our hens and just let them eat them as they drop. They've shown very clearly that they like elderberry fruit that drops in the chicken yard, and so this works quite nicely as a way to feed them. And it's so pleasurable looking at them on fresh green grass. They still have access to their compost, but they can free choice on comfrey and black currants and dropped elder fruit, and on and on. So far, only about 10 hens have figured out that this space exists. It's interestingly the hens that we got from a CAFO type operation, a very confined youth that they had for their first year and a half before they got here. Those are the hens that got out first and seem to be really enjoying the space the most. It's really beautiful. We have a gate on the north end there, which should make it pretty easy for us to deliver compost through that method rather than having to go through our driveway. We can go through our neighbors. On the south end here, we have another simple gate that gives us access to our gardening space over here. And now it's going to be so easy to send weeds to the chickens by not having to go all the way around up our driveway with the wheelbarrow, but simply throwing it anywhere over this fence and letting them eat and scratch it into the soil and feed the perennial and woody layers that are in this space. This corner here, which is the southeast corner, is extremely easy to access for our neighbors, and so they're going to be able to just dump their food scraps right into here. I've been laying down some greens, some burdock. There's weeds in here, so we'll just keep throwing greens on top and compost on top. The chickens can eat what they want and scratch the rest in. We don't have to turn it. What can happen is once in a while a heavy rain will come through, and this channel deals with overflow and sends the water through this whole block of willows, and so excess nutrient can get scooped up by the willows and converted into woody biomass and green manure to send elsewhere. And the willow element in here is starting to get extremely dominant. Some of these trees are now 12, almost 15 feet tall in their third year of growth, and the one challenge that we could take from that is to say, oh, well, willows, it's not really a great feed for chickens, and it's taking up a ton of room and light, and all of that is true. And what can happen now is we can have a further deepening discussion with our neighbors around their goals of maybe getting sheep to graze their lawn. They've got 1.5 acres in the back, and maybe sheep get integrated, and then all of a sudden the excessive amounts of tall shade casting green and leafy material that's growing so rambunctiously in here becomes a foodstuff for yet another animal integrated into this landscape. That's also going to give a lot more light for the elderberries and the currants, which will then feed the chickens. And if we cut the willows hard enough, there might be enough light to even do some air prune boxes in there, some nursery work and the like. So that could work out really nicely and just keep a pulsing cycle of them feeding ruminants and then rebounding and growing again and being able to harvest over and over again in a coppice rotation. We planted a bunch of currants and honeyberry and autumn olive and gumi on this side of the fence in the spring before we were thinking about putting the fence. So it would have been nice and easy just to put the fence up first and then plant everything, but you know, things don't always go in the order of operations that you'd expect. But now what we can do is bank a really thick windrow of compost directly against this fence on our side, on the outside, and plant tomatoes and peas and beans, cucumbers, climbing annuals to fill this fence out, and have whatever falls on that side be for the hens and whatever's on this side be for our harvesting and our neighbors as well. Since they drive right by here a number of times a day, it becomes an incredibly productive zone 1 trellis system for their desires too. So this is only the second day that they're out here. We're going to monitor and watch. I'm interested to see what sort of impact these hens have on the greens in here. It's simple enough to close the gate. If they destroy the vegetation, the ground cover of grass and violets and all that in too intense a way, we'll give this place a little bit of a rest. But I'd love the idea of them being able to have free choice browse in here, and we'll just see how it all unfolds over time. We'll share notes as we learn more, but for now we've got our hens just beginning the process of exploring a new bulb of access that they've never had before. Back on our side in there, our 5 cats have been coming out every day, and so far they've been pretty good about the chickens, but that's another little variable for us to watch. Right, Kay? Simple update, lots more to do for sure. Lots of observation of how these hens find the space and how the space finds them and what ways we can fold more in. What would you like to see happen in here? Do you have some suggestions or ideas of specific crops that might work, or some experiments that you'd find value in seeing us explore and document and share? What sort of pitfalls have you seen with this sort of idea of integrating hens into a young berry fruit orchard context? Would love to hear notes and what's worked and not worked for folks. And for now, we'll just let them play and enjoy, and we'll share another video once we've learned some more. Thanks for watching.